Jeff, the host of the Gridiron.
Fourth and goal to go with the 2. 34 seconds left to go in the ball game. This is the play right now. Takes the snap. Targeted goes in. Targeted all alone. And the quarterback keeps. Wow, what a call. Nobody touched him.
So Kafka, right, the coordinators last week were talking to the media, and he laid out a plan, right, they had for Dart. Now, the one nice thing is that, we have, obviously, with Wilson and Winston, we got some, I'm not going to say, we got the greatest, certainly not going to say we got the greatest quarterback group, in all of football, nothing like that, but we certainly got some veterans. We got Wilson for at least this year, right? And maybe we might have Winston for 2 years, right? So that leaves the door open for Dart to enter somewhere along the line within the first year or two. Obviously, Phil Simms did a video on this. He spoke. He would love to see Dart get in there somewhere along the line this season, right? So that either means one of two things, right? With Dart, if Dart were to get in there this season, right? That means either the Giants somewhere along the line are sucking, which is obviously not something we want to say, or the Giants are almost, very rarely you're going to, it's rare. You're going to have a Jaden Daniels just plug and play, and the guy takes you off to the championship game, right? So, if Dart can do that, sign me up for that. But usually, a lot of rookie quarterbacks, it's, look at Eli Manning, right? As I said, we were 5-4 in 2004. They pulled the plug on the season. Put Eli in there. We went from 5-4 to 5-10. He won the final game of the season against the Cowboys, who were not a very good team. So basically, they were 5-4. They pulled the plug on the season, and that's a tricky thing to do, because you got these guys, these veterans, these guys showing up, giving it their all. We got a chance of maybe making the playoffs or something. Something, and then the coach is like, "Yeah, sorry, season's over." Because it is, understandably so, where Dart has got to get in there. He's got to get those snaps and all and everything. But it's a tricky thing, And of course, the other tricky thing is too, right? Is that because when it comes to maybe saving Daboll's job or change job, whatever like that, when do they put him in there, right? You have to put him all the way at the end of the season, like say the Giants or whatever, 6-9, right? They got 2 games left. The season's over with. Let's put Dart in there, right? Do they pull the plug a little earlier? And it's going to be interesting to see. But Mr. Kafka here, he elaborates on the Giants' plan for Jaxson Dart. Matt Kafka elaborates. Originally appeared on Athlon Sports, the moment the Giants picked quarterback Jaxson Dart, he became the most important player on the roster. With his first-round draft capital, the extra ammunition traded for his selection, the jobs on the line, and the chance he changes the Giants' fortune, it's imperative that he turns into a franchise quarterback. Well, there's a lot on the line here, right? Because then, what are we going to do? We got to go out and find another quarterback. But the thing, this is where it's just like, you're in quarterback hell, right? Right? You draft a quarterback, you give him a couple years, 2-3 years. It's like, he sucks. We got to find another quarterback. And then you find another quarterback. Look at the Jets, right? Right? Still looking for a quarterback. So, the franchise quarterbacks are made more often than they are born. Dart entering the league with plenty of intangible work to be done. The difference between Lane Kiffin and head coach Brian Daboll's offense is significant. And the Giants won't be forcing Dart into action sooner than they have to. So, which is nice because it was the same thing kind of like with Eli. We had Kurt Warner there, right? Here we go, future Hall of Famer Kurt Warner. Now we have future Hall of Famer Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. Not future Hall of Famer, but right. New York made that promise by signing 2 veteran quarterbacks, Wilson and Winston, to insulate the passing offense. It's part of a cohesive plan the regime has brought into, and it's giving fans even more reason to be excited about Dart's arrival. At the OTAs, Giants offensive coordinator Mike Kafka detailed the plan for developing the rookie quarterback. Yeah, I think whenever you draft a quarterback early, you want to have a plan or some semblance of a plan or schedule put in place to understand that it's not really 1 week. It's a 6-month, 1 year, 2 year type of plan for really any player, Kafka said. Now, of course, he said also, I'm not going to go into detail what those plans are, the steps are, but for any player you get, you want to see what that player is going to be at some point in the distance, 6 months out, 12 months, 18 months in the future, where his progress is and where he should be. That way, along the way, you can evaluate, is he on schedule? Is he a little bit further behind? Do we need to add or subtract certain things? Dart could certainly leapfrog Wilson and Winston at some point, but a daunting early season schedule likely pushes his debut deep into the season, if at all. In the meantime, what he shows between Sundays will let New York know how successful its plan is. Kafka noted that despite its significance, Dart's development doesn't have to look drastically different from the young contributors across the roster. So there's no different for any position, he continued. For the quarterback, that's what you try to put together. It's not going to get into the details of what he said. He's not going to get into the details of the plan, but that's what you want to look for. You try to put those touch points on. Okay, is he at this point coming to training camp, start of the season? Where is it? Where the protections, where his assignments are, things like that. We try to put together a little checklist and a plan for every player, and the quarterback is no different. As the clock ticks toward preseason games and fans first extend a look at the rookie, the hype will grow, regardless of how those late summer looks go. The New York faithful can rest assured that he's set up for success. Daboll has waited 3 seasons to pick his quarterback. The offensive line and running game should be adequate, and receiver Malik Neighbors is a full-blown superstar. Yeah. Revamped defense only makes the Giants more dangerous, too. With 2 mentors ahead of him on the depth chart and a coaching staff hell-bent on making sure they get this right, Dart is well-equipped to hit the ground running whenever New York ultimately gives him the green light. And this other one here, too. Giants constantly referred to a very intentional evaluation process when they used it during a 2-draft cycle that finally led them to the decision to trade up and select Dart, the number 25. That was a process that Joe Shane called both extensive and exhausting, I bet. Moments after the Giants drafted Dart, head coach Brian Daboll told media that the process of developing a quarterback is just that. It is a process Daboll and quarterbacks coach Shea Tierney went through successfully with Josh Allen during their time with the Buffalo Bills. And let's not forget, right? As quarterback coach and eventually offensive coordinator of the Kansas City Chiefs, Giants offensive coordinator, assistant head coach Mike Kafka was involved in the early years of development of Patrick Mahomes. So you got like 2 of the freaking studs of the NFL, right? And we had coaches on the roster that helped develop those guys. Certainly not saying Dart's going to be a Josh Allen or a Patrick Mahomes, but Dart may never be an Allen or Mahomes, and it would be unfair to put the burden of that expectation on the 22-year-old. He does, though, have the benefit of a coaching staff that has been hands-on with the process of guarding the early career growth of arguably the 2 best quarterbacks currently playing the game. Giants are never going to be a lay out step for step their plan, timeline, or expectations for getting Dart ready to play. During a session with media at last Thursday's OTA, Kafka pulled back the curtain a bit while responding to a question I asked about how lessons from his work with Mahomes can be applied to helping Dart. you call touch points. That's no different from any position for the quarterback. That's what has to try to be put together. I'm not going to get into the details of the plan, but that's what we want to look for, Kafka said. You try to put these touch points on. Is he at this point coming into training camp at the start of the season? Where is he with his protections? Where is he at with his assignments? I also read that in the other article. Kafka did admit that offensive coordinator's involvement with quarterbacks is different than that of being a position coach. Just being the quarterback coach, you're in that room with them. You're coaching them just on the specific job of the quarterback versus the offensive coordinator putting the whole picture together for the cues. Kafka said, being in those meetings with the quarterbacks and explaining my intent for a play or my vision for what that play could be or what the offense could look like and how we're going to attack certain things. Just being in front of those quarterbacks is always good information. So he's got, obviously, of course, they got plans for him. And there's no immediate rush to get the guy on the field. Some of the players, like Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, some of these guys, obviously, benefited. Whether the play was, they won or they lost or whatever, just getting those reps is invaluable. And I think with Caleb Williams, if they ever get a decent coach around the guy. He's got some talent to throw the ball to, but if they ever get a decent coach around the guy, I think we can see a nice yearly jump from Mr. Williams. And of course, then you got Jaden Daniels. Some of these guys, or they just step into a really good situation, right? That's not Dart's case. Usually, a lot of times, if you're a really good quarterback and you're going to get drafted early, usually you're getting drafted early by a team that blows, right? And the reason why they blow is because they don't have a good team, So if you get put on, Jaden Daniels was, they had a whole new regime in there. They spent all kinds of money, brought in all kinds of new free agents and all that stuff. And usually I was rather shocked with the Commanders, but I didn't think they had a snowball's chance in HEL double hockey sticks of being a really good team last year. But it just goes to show you what a special talent Daniels was. But usually a lot of times, because a new regime comes in, and I said, you bring in all these new faces, new players. It takes a while sometimes for them to gel, but they made it to the championship game. That just goes to show you what a special talent that Jaden Daniels is. But at least with Dart anyway, they said they got a plan for him, right? And he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to knock it out of the park year one, right? But tell you what, it's surely going to be, everybody's going to be all very excited and everything when, obviously, when the preseason rolls around, right? And Dart gets in there for the 3 preseason games, right? Because you know that's a guarantee. He's getting into all 3 of those games, without question.